This lecture brings us back to India. You'll remember from last time that Buddhism is a religion that is native to India. Well, in the meantime, while we were away, when we come back to India, Buddhism has sort of split into two different paths, two different, ways. The one right here, Theravada Buddhism, doesn't really see it as a religion, sees it more as a way of life, sees Buddha more as a teacher than as a holy figure, that he's sort of a philosopher that should be followed. Mahayana Buddhism, on the other hand, does see Buddhism as a religion, does see the Buddha as a holy figure, and just treats the whole thing sort of more like a religion. So Buddhism splits into those who sort of follow the philosophy but don't view it as a religion, and those who feel the reverse, those who feel like the Buddha was this sort of spiritual figure. Either way, neither one retains a large degree of popularity in India. India is going to be a majority Hindu and with a significant Muslim population that we will discuss shortly. In modern times, Hinduism is the largest religion in India. Islam is the second largest religion in India. And there are historical reasons for this. Those reasons are there were invaders who invaded in the northern part of India who were Muslims. You see right below me here one of them, right? He attacks the Hindu kingdoms. India, at the time that he attacks, is divided up into many different states. He takes advantage of this, comes in from the north, attacks a bunch, and expands the state that he already controlled beforehand. As you just heard me say up there, one of the main reasons for this is the Gupta Empire had collapsed. So India is like very fractious. It's a bunch of different little states all fighting each other, each one with a king, a prince, all trying to be sort of number one. It's sort of like Japan. Remember, that was all like divided. He takes advantage and creates a big old sort of empire in the north. And just a couple more reasons that his invasions are successful. The military tactics of the Hindu Rajputs. Rajputs is like the term for the warriors, like the Hindu warriors, specifically the ones who are resisting this expansion of this Muslim empire into the north. They don't use tactics that are quite as up to date as his, and their rigid caste divisions stop them from recruiting like they could. If they really tapped in, if these specific guys had really tapped into the full population of India at the time, they might have won. But instead, remember, their caste system is very rigid. They have people who are born to be warriors. They're going to be the warriors. That's it. And then there are people who are born to be, farmers or low caste people, and they can't be warriors. Even if they might be, sort of natural, good fighters, they can't be. So for these reasons, the invasions are successful. The Sultanate of Delhi, as you can see below me, lasts for a long time. So there's a number of rulers, some good, some bad. You can see right over here, it's that orange part in the north. Again, it lasts for a long time, and it's this sort of northern Indian, much of like modern day Pakistan, kingdom, while the south is still sort of a bunch of different kingdoms. This sort of the mixing of the cultures that this brings about creates a new language, Urdu. India, in case you don't know, today there's many different languages that are spoken in India, and I will say that the historical reason for that is there's a very long, very deep history in India of sort of disunity, of, in ancient times, you're talking about a bunch of different peoples, a bunch of different kingdoms. Sometimes they'll have their own language. So even today, even though South Asia today is just a couple countries, just, India and Pakistan and Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, there's many more languages than there are countries, and that's because there used to be a lot more countries. Not everything is hunky-dory, though. Not everything is totally cool between the Muslim rulers and the Hindu population. The vast majority of people who are living in this time and in this place are Hindus, but the rulers are Muslims. It's sort of like the situation you have in Yuan, China, where you had the Mongolian elites in charge, and then the vast majority of people were ethnic Chinese who were sort of being ruled over, sort of like that. So there was some separation. The Muslim rulers sort of inserted themselves into the caste system. They were like, okay, we're on top now. They were tolerant, though. They were generally tolerant of other faiths, of Hinduism specifically. Most of the rulers understood that were way too many Hindus in India to change all of them, to sort of convert all of them. That's not true of all of the leaders, though. Sometimes there would be a leader who'd say, no, 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 everyone should be a Muslim now. But for the most part, most of the leaders were like, okay, as long as everyone pays their taxes, we're fine. But generally speaking, this is a relationship between the rulers and the ruled, and often there's friction in those types of relationships. Again, I will theorize that some of the tensions that exist today in Southern Asia between Hindus and Muslims, some of the tensions today that exist between India and Pakistan, not all, because there's plenty to it. Some of these things, though, have sort of ancient roots, going all the way back to, hey, even if you don't know it, you can go all the way back to like 1200 and be like, hey, your dad beat up my dad. And of course, we have to do the culture, the magnificent culture. The Indian architects of this time built these amazing Hindu temples. You see they're a big, certainly a big tourist attraction now. They're, very famous, very well known, very, architecturally respected, these beautiful places. You can sort of see them for yourself. It was very common to have, these ornate sculptures sort of blended into the architecture, and it's just, it's very beautiful. And then also, well, I'll tell you in the other video. And also at this time, prose writing is established in India. Prose writing is, not poetry, not verse, not song lyrics, but like a novel. You know what I mean? Like paragraphs telling a story in that way. This is earlier than the same art form comes about in like Japan or Europe or any of those places. This is quite early for that particular art form to come about. So it's an achievement. But the Delhi Sultanate is finally destroyed, taken down by this fellow over here. Another one of history's great conquerors, guy that owns a big empire in like Central Asia. So he's like up above these guys, and he wants to be the new Genghis Khan. He kind of is. He in his own right is quite famous. You can, if you love conquerors, you should look up this guy because he was really into it. There's a picture over there. He, comes on in and smashes him. There's a beautiful drawing right there of one of the battles where he wins. Smashes him, invades him, sacks Delhi itself, and kills people, enslaves people. He shatters the empire, destroys it, and Indian political unity fizzles again. It goes all into a bunch of different factions until the next empire is going to come consolidate it all. But this one is specifically wrecked by this guy, Timur from Central Asia. He's underneath us with a prisoner. He's taken like with the ruler prisoner. There's again a lot of paintings about this guy. So he gets rid of the unity. India's going to go back to being divided. And when we get back to India, just before this course ends, we'll tell you about the last empires that we'll tell you about. And then you'll learn more in high school.